And while the latest Monmouth Washington Post poll shows Haley picking up more independent support.
That's Fox's Jeff Manasso. America is listening to Fox News.
Hey, you're up next.
My throat hurts so bad. There's no way I can sing tonight.
Here, try these.
Vicks VapoCool drops.
Yeah, Vicks VapoCool Drops has maximum strength menthol with a rush of Vicks vapors.
Ooh, I can already feel it.
I told you. So, you ready?
I'm ready.
Vaporize sore throat pain fast with Vicks VapoCool Drops.
At Consumer Cellular, you get the same exact coverage as the largest carriers, but for up to half the cost. Same thing, up to half the cost. Up to half the cost for the same thing. 50% the money for 100% the same thing. I hope I'm making myself clear. Consumer Cellular. When freedom calls, we're here to answer. Call us at 1-888-FREEDOM.
Half the cost savings based on cost of Consumer Cellular single line 5 GB data plan with unlimited talk and text compared to lowest cost single line postpaid unlimited talk, text, and data plan offered by T-Mobile and Verizon May 2023.
The Biden administration announcing abortion protections on what would have been the 51st anniversary of Roe v. Wade. Fox's Kristen Goodwin reports.
President Biden details the steps he's taken to protect abortion access, including executive orders.
To protect a woman's right to travel, to get health care, to protect a woman's right to receive health care free from discrimination, and to protect her privacy.
Bringing together his task force on reproductive health care on what would have marked the 51st anniversary of Roe v. Wade had the Supreme Court not overturned the decision, noting agencies will unveil new actions to help strengthen access to contraception, protect access to medication abortion, and ensure patients receive emergency care.
We need these protections in every state because your family to have access to health care should not depend on your zip code.
His remarks as Vice President Kamala Harris kicked off her Fight for Reproductive Freedoms tour in the battleground state of Wisconsin. Kristen Goodwin, Fox News.
U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken praising Mexico for leading the fight against fentanyl. That despite reports from Customs and Border Patrol that fentanyl seizures have increased since 2018. Fox's Jillian Turner reports from the State Department.
The Secretary says what is different now is the Mexican government is engaging on a daily basis with the Biden team about the fentanyl crisis. Despite the persistently high death rates, President Biden says he thinks he deserves a lot of the credit.
And by the way, I've worked with China and Mexico to slow the flow of fentanyl in the United States. As I speak, it's way down.
Secretary Blinken, though, acknowledges there is still a lot of progress to be made.
2 years ago, we seized, and that doesn't mean we got everything. We seized enough fentanyl to kill every single American citizen. That is the scope of the problem.
Interestingly, Republicans over on Capitol Hill now are emphasizing the real-world impact that all of this is having on American citizens.
In February, Biden officials will head to Mexico City to discuss the border and fentanyl with Mexican officials. I'm Deborah Valentine. This is Fox News.
Hello, everyone. This is Lawrence Sutton and Chris Morse. We got an echo in here. There you go. Thank you. This is Lawrence Sutton and Chris Morse, and this is Tennessee Talks with Kip Capley, and it's brought to you by the Kip Capley and Stryker Steakhouse.
Shout out to Strikers.
Hey, what a good meal you can get and great service. And in these days and times, pretty reasonably priced for the most part.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you can't beat the meal. And, of course, I know a lot of folks, unfortunately, are having water issues in both Lawrence and Giles County and even over into Lincoln County.
In all the counties.
And it's several. And, of course, you know, I've talked to our good friend Jim Barth. Houston County is having major problems. Understand there's some over towards the Shelby County area.
Yes.
So, but Giles County is leading the pack. They can lead in something. All their utility districts are on a boil order. So I may have to go eat at Strikers tonight.
Well, I'm going to tell you this. You know, we started out right from the get-go, but, man, we're starting to unthaw a little bit. What a week. I've never experienced a week like this up here in Tennessee that we had with all the snow and the cold, and it was cold for a long period of time. Typically, we don't have a week of cold weather, but we had a week of just frozen, cold, miserable weather.
Amen. I don't know if a lot of people realize that the air temperature one night last week. Both Lawrence and Giles County got down to a negative 13 or negative 14 below zero.
Yeah.
That ain't including wind chill.
Right.
So it was brutally cold. Shout out to all the EMS workers, public safety officials out there, TDOT, everything they did to make our lives safer.
Yeah.
And, a lot of people, they sacrifice being away out in the cold away from their families to help others. Public safety, public service.
And that's the thing. A lot of times we like to pick on our politicians and our public utilities and things like that. But you know what? When things have gone well, and when people have put themselves out of the way, they also need to get the pat on the back too. It needs to be both-way street, in other words.
Two-way street, as we say.
Yeah.
But some of the things, and I know that this is going to hit a nerve with some people, but it's facts. I look at our system in Giles County, and Giles County needs to form their own Giles County Water Authority, in my opinion. Of course, State Comptroller has been pushing for this as well. Mm-hmm. You have all these little utility districts in the county, and of course, Giles County is number one of every utility district in that county, and I think including the city of Pulaski. I may be wrong. I'll get corrected real quick if I am. I believe there are 6, and all of them are having issues. But, and not picking on the city of Pulaski, got great folks over there doing a great job. But our infrastructure on our water lines, I don't know how long they've been in the ground. And let's say they were put in the 50s. Well, that's 70 years ago.
Right.
And things were done different 70 years ago than they are today.
Even the materials are different.
And the materials are different. So I know particularly there on West College Street and in that vicinity, if people are familiar with Pulaski, the McDonald's heading west towards Home Depot, that is a little stretch, and some of the tee-offs onto feeder streets into some of the residential areas, not counting last week. Now, I know they had a major break in front of McDonald's last week, but prior to that, over the last 8 weeks, they've had about 6 breaks. Now, water main breaks on the main line.
Well, I think that goes with everything. I mean, even Kip had a break in his house.
Right.
And I talked to numerous people that had their water lines break on them.
Well, I'm not talking about from the cold, brother. I'm talking about over the years.
Oh, just over the years.
Over
gotcha.
the years.
Well, when you said that there were some breaks this past week, I mean, you got to admit the cold had.
What I said prior to this week.
Oh, gotcha.
Prior to this past week, we've had over the last 6 to 8 weeks about 6 breaks in that area. Now, I don't blame the utility at all. It's just that how old is that infrastructure, and maybe we need to look at doing some rehabilitation or grants, and that's something that needs to be prioritized before we build any more sidewalks or any landscaping or anything like that. We need to be putting it in and protecting our people. And water is a hot commodity.
Water is a hot commodity, and I'm going to tell you it's going to be even a hotter commodity. I mean, I know here in Lawrence County we have had water problems where it was so bad that we had to have bottled water shipped into Summertown. Mm-hmm. And also in Lawrenceburg, I believe there had to have been some water shipped in also because people were totally without water.
TVA. Shout out to TVA. They're doing that for Lawrence and Giles County, bringing water in.
Yeah, thank you. And I know Kip and Clay and also Paige Wally. I was on the phone with Paige earlier, and I know he is working with that about the water problems and is working with the state comptroller and everything, and told us he's been working with the state comptroller,
trying to figure out to keep from these things happening again. But I know this, Lawrence County is expanding. We're talked about having a 300 housing project coming into Summertown, Etheridge area.
Up in Summertown, yeah.
Right, that's correct. And it's like, okay, Summertown is not even issuing new
water
meters.
Taps.
Yeah, they're not even issuing new meters. So how are we able to handle another 300 homes when people even today that live here can't even get a water meter because they're not going to issue it because of the water problems.
Well, we got to look at our resources, our God-given resources,
and Tennessee,
and water, and we're blessed.
And Tennessee and Lawrence County in particular is blessed with abundance of water. But I'm trying to say that we're growing so fast that that the infrastructure cannot keep up.
Well, one thing that I want to say to this, and sometimes you have to call a spade, as I always say.
Right.
But this growth, we knew it was coming because, look, the fastest growing county north of us in the state of Tennessee is Murray. And the fastest,
then Williamson.
Well, true, but Murray is number one unless something has changed.
No, I said and Williamson's growth. Right. They were one of the fastest ones, and now people are starting to
fan out
now.
Yeah, you've got, you've had hot spots like Clarksville, Montgomery County, Murfreesboro, Rutherford County.
Oh, yeah.
These are very hot spots. Sumner County up in Gallatin and Hendersonville area. But south of us, across the border, the fastest growing county in the state of Alabama is Limestone.
Yeah, because Huntsville is the fastest growing city in the country, is it not, or one of them?
It's in the top three, for sure. But, Limestone County is Athens.
Yeah.
And for southern Giles County, their utility districts like Minor Hill Utility and Ardmore and South Giles and that neck of the woods, they used to be connected to Limestone County Water Authority, and they had them as a backup, and then of course they had the blessing of Pulaski. But with all the growth that I'm understanding from Limestone County, they have now cut South Giles, Ardmore, and Minor Hill off.
Really?
Yes. And so that put a hurting, but Limestone County, they're having problems too. They are having problems on the Ardmore, Alabama side. They're having problems in Elkmont and a couple of other little spots there in Limestone County. So growth has greatly impacted. But then again, I want to say, hey, let's look at the age of our infrastructure. And years ago, when water lines were put in, and they may have been buried 36 to 42 inches, but did we put a bed of rock, like 3/4 inch rock underneath them, a foot deep? Did we put cover over the top of them by protecting them with limestone rock? And especially through a very, in Giles County, we have a lot of limestone rock.
Right.
And did we case our pipes properly, our water lines? Did we put them in a steel case and then run the water line through them? There's a whole lot of questions that I would have instead of trying to get on Facebook. What's killing me is these Facebook warriors. They're getting on there and they're blasting people. Hey, listen, come up with a solution. Everybody out there, hear me loud and clear. If you want to, you want to have a B&G session, and I'll let y'all figure out the B and the gripe. You want to have your sessions, help come up with a solution. Let's sit down and let's talk about it, and let's work a plan, because the thing with the growth like you're talking about in summertime, I'm glad to see it. I know a lot of the old timers are not, but the growth brings on increase in property values. It does a lot that puts money into people's pocket that you don't see, but you have got to do some proper planning. And what has happened so many years is towns just like, whether it be Ardmore or it be Minor Hill or it be Summertown or it be Loretta, they haven't done some proper planning to prepare for the growth.
Well, here's the thing, is that, do you believe, Chris, and you probably know the answer better than I do, and I meant to ask Paige about this, but I didn't. Do you think it's an infrastructure problem, or do you think it's a resource problem?
It's a combo.
Because, see, here's the thing. If it's a resource problem, then only God provides the resources.
Well,
And
that's true. You know, when you're talking about the resource,
I'm talking about plenty of water.
Plenty of water.
Yeah.
Well, the resource we have got, we're fortunate. We've got plenty of water.
We are.
Do you remember the argument that Atlanta, Georgia was having about trying to hook into the Tennessee River in Chattanooga, and that the line was done wrong? And
it was a big mess. And I mean, I actually thought we were going to see an actual fight over this.
Yeah.
But I do know this, you know, looking out, and here's the bad thing. Here's the bad thing with extreme quick growth like we're experiencing, is a lot of times it's a knee-jerk reaction. Unfortunately, government reacts to a problem. They don't plan for the problem. And we have places out there in California, Oregon, Washington, that the people, when they own the land, they don't even own their own water rights underneath that land. They also, there's places that they can't even collect their own water, their own rainwater. I mean, think about how stupid that is.
That's where you let a government
dictate. That's right.
And you are no longer a free society. You're becoming a socialist society.
Well, you're becoming not a citizen. You're becoming a subject.
That's right. I'm glad we think alike, because it just comes out naturally.
It does, but
like you were saying in your example, Atlanta's was a resource problem.
Right, it is. But you know, so I'm looking at what is happening now, and is it because that the LUS and Summertown Utility, have they failed the plan? Or did they really and truly run out of water because there wasn't enough water to have available to these homes?
Well, I don't know how y'all's infrastructure is set up over here, but like in Giles County, the city of Pulaski has always depended on Richland Creek. For all the folks that travel to Pulaski, when you pass what we call Richland Trace Market and cross the bridge coming into Pulaski, you're crossing Richland Creek.
And that's where you're getting your water from.
That's our only resource now, that the southern utility districts are, my understanding, cut off from Limestone County.
Right.
But we got a big river that runs through the southern part of the county called the Elk River.
Yeah.
And we need to start planning on looking at developing a water authority in conjunction with what we already got. We don't need to add another, like I said 6 while ago, we don't need to kick it up to 7. But the county needs to look at developing a water authority and hooking, you know, like Minor Hill Utility, South Giles, Ardmore, and hopefully there's another little utility we have that could connect. It's called Tarpley Shop. And we could get these folks and make sure that they have water sources, you know.
Well, the thing is, I know, you know, I always put down, you know, what I know from Florida, because that's where I grew up and lived for most of my life. But, you know, Florida, we had like 6 different water management districts that were throughout the state.
All throughout the state, not just in your county.
Not just in the county, yes, but they were given power over numerous counties. Like the water management district that we had to deal with in Polk County was Southwest Water Management District. It's kind of funny, they were called SWIFMUD, you know, for the acronym. It was SWIFMUD. And I will tell you this, and this is the bad thing. I understand what you're saying, and I understand what a lot of people are saying, but to me, if we have more utilities and that breeds more competition, we just need them to be competent to doing the job that they want. Because I'm going to tell you something, these water management districts in Florida, and I know you're talking about per county, and they didn't do that in Florida, but they were the Gestapo, buddy. I mean, you almost couldn't take a pee in the creek, if you know what I mean.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
I do know what you mean.
I'm conflicted. I hear what you're saying, and yes, you know, a lot of times when things are consolidated, they tend to, the bigger they are, the more smoothly they run, just because they're so big. But then when you create something so big, it's also so much easier for you to be taken away from. Me personally, I like the competition, even if it means that, you know, maybe one or two of them aren't competent per se, because you said you have 6 in Giles County. Well, I can tell you this. I mean, I'm in competition with our with LUS and Summertown because I have my own spring, you know, that I work on, and you know, I'm blessed to have a spring. And there's a lot of people that have springs and they have wells, but I'm the one that's responsible for taking care of it.
Right.
You know,
it's your independent well.
It's my independent well that I own on my property.
Right.
And I say that by saying this, I'm blessed.
And there's several people both throughout Giles and Lawrence County.
Absolutely, there are.
Rely on, they have a spring or well water, still that way today.
It is, and but the reason I did that is because when I moved up here, I knew how bad the water management districts were. Yeah. And I'm like, I'm going to be responsible for my own water.
Yeah.
Another thing, you started my morning off this morning and had me kind of gritting my teeth and not too happy.
Were you cussing under your breath a little bit?
No, not really. I wasn't. But you know what? You know what I did do, Chris? Instead of getting on Facebook and complaining,
you tried to find
I've tried to find a solution. and I worked on it. So you had sent me this morning. We have 2 Republican House of Representatives that are playing in the sandbox with some Democrats. And they are all giddy and hoping to pass in the 2024 general session, and it's House Bill 1574. And I'm going to call names. We have Representative John Gillespie,
Memphis,
and Sam Whitson, who's really
Franklin, Williamson County.
I mean, he's right in our backyard.
Well, both of them are trans Republicans. I'll just say that right out of the gate. This is my own opinion.
Mm-hmm.
It's nobody else. And if they got a problem, one of the guys up there can share my cell phone number with them, because they're weak-kneed Republicans.
See, you know, here's the thing, and I want people to understand this. You know, when you say trans, and the reason that we use that word trans is, you know, I've had some people come out and say, well, why are you doing are you making fun of the homosexual community? It has nothing to do with it. Trans means that you don't know what you are.
That's right.
You're going back and forth, back and forth. You're claiming to be one thing, but your actions and your words speak the other.
We can also say you're flipping and flopping.
Right. But that's the reason I say they're playing in the sandbox with the Democrats right now.
Correct.
What these people are doing. And so anyway, I started doing some investigation. I started sending us out to people that can make a difference. And I am pleased to tell you that as of about 30 minutes ago, I get a call from Paige Wally and about this House bill wanting red flag laws.
And there again, that's House Bill 1574.
And here's what Paige said. And I asked Paige, can I quote you on this, Paige? And he said, absolutely. He went and talked to one of the Senate leaders, Jack Johnson. And Jack Johnson told Paige, and Paige then told me, that absolutely not are we going to pass any red flag laws. So once again, the Senate's stepping up.
So there again, where I understand you correctly, is Paige has gone to the Senate Majority Leader on the Republican side, and that's Jack Johnson in Williamson County also.
Right.
Okay. And he said, absolutely, this will not happen.
That's correct.
So I believe what Paige has told you.
Absolutely.
And so therefore, Senator Jack Johnson, I'm going to hold your feet to the fire.
Well, not only that, but even Paige told me earlier this morning when I first let Paige know about this, Paige is like, I don't know anything about this. I haven't heard anything about this. And to give Paige credit, you know, because he knows how much our gun rights mean to us. And when I say us, I'm talking about his constituents. And also, I believe he understands how important it is for our Constitution as well and what's happened in the history. And so I do want to say that Paige was very instrumental in making me feel better. But this morning, after you sent this, I worked on it most of this morning, trying to get answers for this. And again, I'm glad that we have had our representatives stepped up to try to keep our country safe, or our state safe, I should say. So we've got that out of the way.
I'm going over there. I want to look at something on this bill while we're still on it before we get away from it.
Yeah.
This bill in the Senate, it's Senate bill, guess what? It's House Bill 1574, and it's Senate Bill 1564.
Uh-huh.
And just to be quite frankly with what the bill is, the caption of it is firearms and ammunition, so it's getting firearms and ammunition.
Right.
As introduced, allows a court to issue a risk protection order upon finding by clear and convincing evidence that a person poses a significant danger of causing personal injury to person or others if allowed to possess or purchase a firearm, authorizes a law enforcement officer or a relative to petition for the risk of protection order. So it says what we're going to do is we're going to say law enforcement and or a relative. Well, if you tick off one of your first cousins or your uncle or your aunt, what this is going to do is they can just go down and say, hey, he's threatened to kill me.
I think it even can go down to a girlfriend or boyfriend even, can it not?
I don't know what.
I know a lot of
how
them
how are they a relative if they're boyfriend, girlfriend?
Right, but I know a lot of these red flag laws.
They do.
Will add a significant other to that.
Yes.
So that's interesting, but you know what? I'm glad to hear.
But where you will know, it's the primary sponsor is Representative Freeman. And then here we got John Ray Clemens, an attorney in Nashville and full-fledged Democrat. Then we got John Gillespie, a Republican. And like I said, he is one of those trans Republicans. He's from over in the greater Memphis area. We watched him. You may not remember.
Yeah, I remember him. I know exactly who this dude is.
We got a House member, Harris. And we got House member Hakeem. I know who he is, another Democrat.
Yeah.
And then Sam Winston. Folks, you're not doing what is constitutional. Let's just lay it on the line. Let's call a spade again. And I hope Senator Jack Johnson is telling us, it's been referred to the Senate Delayed Bills Committee. This was one of the bills that went in April, and they're picking this bill back up. Now, it has been assigned to the Civil Justice Subcommittee. And if my memory serves me correct, I think Clay Doggett chairs that committee.
Oh, yeah. I know he does.
So it was assigned to them January the 10th.
See, I didn't even bother to get a hold of Clay or Kip on this because I know where they're at.
Oh yeah, and Todd Warner, and
I mean, and I shouldn't say that about Paige. I mean, Paige did a lot, especially during the special session too.
Yes,
but I contacted Paige because I really have figured out how our House thinks, but I haven't figured out really how our Senate thinks a lot yet. So that's the reason I'd contact Paige on this.
I understand, and of course I know our other good friend, Mr. Richard Archie with TFA, and John Harris. I know they're probably on this like Flynn.
Not only was Richard Archie on this today, I talked to Richard today about it.
Oh, you did?
I did. From the hospital bed from getting shoulder surgery.
surgery for his shoulder replacement. Surgery and shoulder, you just can't say that at the same time.
Tongue twister.
Yeah. But I talked to him today after his anesthesia wore off. There's Richard.
Oh, Lord.
On the phone, getting things done. God bless Richard Archie. I'm just going to tell you that. But I will tell you this. I felt very, very good after hearing from Paige today. I'm just going.
That's great. That's great. And I want these guys to do what they tell us they're going to do, and nothing else matters at the end of the day. But hey, I want to turn the coin just a little bit.
Okay.
And you and I, and most of our listening group out there in the radio realm, they are not for any type of red flag law.
No.
You want to get old country boy upset real quick, try to start putting restrictions on his guns or his ammo. You're going to have a fight on your hands.
But see, here's the thing, and this is why I want most people to understand why we're so against any kind of a gun law at all, Chris, is because it doesn't stop with just that law. It keeps going, and they keep going, and they keep taking. And this is what communists do, Chris. And we had over 200 million people killed in the 20th century alone because of communists coming in, taking over a country, and then taking away the firearms of the people and the ability to defend themselves. And that's why most people need to understand that I'm trying to think of the word I'm looking for. I'm sorry. There is no compromising with evil. And make no mistake,
right.
When somebody wants to take away your right to defend yourself or your family, that is evil. Even God says in the Bible that if a man doesn't take care of his own family, he's worse than an infidel. Okay?
True.
And what the gun does is it allows that if a guy is 5'5" and 140 pounds, he's not going to whip 3 men that are 6 foot and 200 pounds. It's not going to happen.
I don't know. David whipped Goliath.
Well, that's different.
I agree.
That was.
I just had to throw that in there.
But you know what I mean. It's the equalizer. God made man, and Samuel Colt made man equal. And if anybody doesn't know who Samuel Colt is,
Colt 45.
That's the inventor of the Colt 45, and the inventor of Colt firearms. So I just want to put, and let me tell you this, and then I'll get off my soapbox on this. This is why it's also important. We have this actor named Idris Elba. He was in England, and he had like thousands of clothes of people that have been killed by knives in England over the last year. So see, England doesn't have a gun problem because they did. They eradicated guns.
They have a knife problem.
They now have a knife problem. So now this dude wants to take away their knives. You know what was funny? Do you know England, the bobbies used to never carry a gun?
Right.
Now they carry
carried a
guns.
billy stick.
Yeah, now they carry guns. Isn't it kind of funny how that is? Because, they don't feel safe. So if you go and you take away the people's knives, what are they left with next? You know what they're left with next, Chris? They're left with rocks.
They're, a bat or stick.
I'm going to say rocks, and here's why I'm saying rocks, because I have a reason for going with this, because I'm going at it biblically. The first murder ever took place was what?
With a rock.
With a rock.
Cain killed Abel.
That's correct. If man wants to kill somebody,
they're going to.
It doesn't matter. They will find some instrument to kill you with. Now, me personally, if you're going to kill me, I'd rather you shoot me than beat me to death with a rock.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you.
You think about watching some of TV.
Yeah.
And this happens in real life, too.
Absolutely it does.
They break a whiskey bottle or beer bottle and cut your throat with it.
Yeah.
So there's going to be tools, whether it be, or what we're going to do, ban screwdrivers next and hammers. Just think about
what? I saw
this.
something the other day. There were more people killed in 2022 with hammers
and things than there was with a AR-15 or any long gun.
Right, any long rifle.
Any long rifle.
That is correct. I seen that same article. It's amazing. But like we always say, this is the fastest moving hour.
Yes, I know you have some things you need to bring up.
And I want to give a shout out to our own Kip Capley.
Yes.
Kip, you're doing a great job. Youngest man up there in the house. And we're proud of you. A lot of people are watching you. I've been talking to several people lately, and we'll touch on the SEC in a moment. But a lot of people are watching you, Kip.
Tell him about this bill that he's sponsored.
Let me call it out to you.
Yeah.
It's House Bill 1730. He's the primary sponsor, and he's got some good people to grab on. He's got William Lambert, House leader, and of course there's Jody Barrett that's on here.
Yeah.
Chris Todd. Over in Jackson, Tennessee.
Chris Todd's a good dude.
Chris is a great guy. You know, I had him on by phone just recently in your absence.
Yeah. Jay
Reedy, another great guy. Clay Doggett, our own very own Clay Doggett.
Alabama football fan.
And Kelly Kiesling. He's a lot of fun. He's been up there a while.
What about Todd Warner? Todd Warner wasn't on there?
Todd's not on this one. I don't know if Kip talked to Todd. I don't know, but Todd would be on it in a heartbeat.
Yeah, he probably didn't need it.
But guess who? In the Senate, it's Bill 1717, and the Senate sponsor is Joey Hensley.
Why does that not surprise me?
Well, let me talk to you about the bill. Folks, you need to be listening to this because I'm fixing to get into the weeds a little bit on this. Driver's license, as introduced, requires all written driver's license examinations to be administered in English only. Did y'all hear that? In English only.
So why don't you tell the people why it's so important that if we're going to have a driver's license, why it's important that they at least be able to read English?
Well, they need to be able to read our road signs.
That's correct.
They need to be able to know what the meaning stop in that big red octagon.
Right.
They need, and it ain't state trooper off pen.
Right.
You know, it's stop. You got to come to a stop.
Right.
Not a California stop, but they don't know our English. You know, and what amazes me, every one of them I deal with, they want to play the card that they can't speak English, and they can understand just as well as the nose is on my face. They try to play you. But you know, now, let me tell you something that's important.
Okay.
And he wants it in English only, so no Spanish, no French, no German.
Yeah.
None of this.
Yeah.
English only. And prohibits, keyword, prohibits the use of a translation dictionary, an electronic device like you can do Google Translate,
right,
or an interpreter. How about them apples? So you're going to be on your own, and this is a very conservative bill. I don't see no reason that this bill should not fly.
You know what? I'm going to tell you something, and you know, people will think what we're saying we're xenophobic, and I want people to understand this. Do you know why I don't go and, let's say, live in Germany or go live in Brazil? I mean, I think it'd be wonderful. I think Brazil's beautiful. I mean, or Peru or something. You know why I don't go and just up and go live there? Because I don't speak the language.
That's right.
And I don't want to learn the language.
Don't want to learn it.
And you know what else I don't want? I like my culture. I like my culture of being a dumb redneck. I'm perfectly fine with who I am and how God made me. But these people, when they come here to our country, we are expected to change for them. There's no other country in the world that is going to expect you to come in and they're going to let you ignore their culture and you come in and try to change their culture, except for America.
Well, let me jump on this. Just, you know, I've traveled through several states, and I guess COVID got everybody away, well, particularly me, from flying. And I love to drive and see the countryside.
Yeah, absolutely.
And visit a lot of historical places. You know, I went up to D.C. and was up in Pennsylvania, and I have stopped in several, up in Michigan, you name it, Ohio, stopped in several truck stops. Everywhere they got a Buc-ee's. I have to give a shout out to Buc-ee's. They have the cleanest restrooms of any place I've ever been.
And the biggest.
And the biggest. But, and more confidential than other truck stops like Love's or Pilot, Flying J, whatever. But when you go into places and you look around, and I'm always looking for a magnet. If I've never been in that state, I buy me a magnet. Okay. And I'm looking around, and every one of these truck drivers, guess what? They're not Americans. Guess what? Number two, they're not speaking English. Even the cashiers can't understand them, and they're doing Google Translate. And you wonder what's behind. You think about 100,000 pounds of truck coming at you. And then people want to know why these trucks weave and this and that. A lot of these people, they can't drive a peg up a billy goat's hind end.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
And then they're out here driving these machines that they can kill anybody at any time.
You know, I can't drive one of those, but I want to get back to what I was saying on this, though. I want to really hammer this home for people to understand this really quick, is that I do not go and live in those countries, and I want people to understand why I'm saying this, because I am not willing to assimilate. I like my culture.
Right.
And I am not arrogant enough to think that I am going to move to another country and these people are going to assimilate with me.
Right.
I just want to get that out there. That's why I'm against this stuff.
Right.
Is if you want to come to America, come to America.
Speak our language.
Look at my wife.
Right.
I mean, you would never know my wife wasn't even born here talking to her, would you?
No.
But she went out of her way and worked hard to not only learn English, she knows English better than I do. I'm just going to tell you.
Well, you know Hickanese, right?
Right, exactly. So, but I want everybody, and I know you agree with me on this. I do. So, tell us about you got something coming up here. I think that's extremely important.
Got a lot of things going on. Of course, you know, number one, we talked about it Friday when I did the show by Zoom.
Mm-hmm.
We've got a special called SEC meeting that takes place this coming Saturday.
Yeah.
And a lot of people, you know, don't understand, but the state executive committee is what sets the rules and the bylaws for the Republican Party. And like I said in that Zoom call, and I back my words up 100%, a lot of people who are on the committee do everything to circumvent the rules. I'm not saying everybody, but there's a select few that don't want to follow the rules. They want to bend them.
So let me ask you this. We have a platform that's spelled out very plain and very clearly.
The 2016 platform.
If you can't abide and go by the platform, then why do you go and get involved and try to change a party into what it's not? Is it just plain evilness that people do this, Chris?
You know, I dealt with a county today. They're going to start doing a caucus like we do in Giles County.
Yeah.
And I told them if they needed my help, holler at me. Well, they started calling today. They had their first meeting, and they're trying to get a firm grasp of being bona fide. That's a key word in our bylaws, bona fide. Doesn't mean you have to be bona fide to go vote at the polls. That's what a lot of people get confused about.
Or bona fide to come to a Republican meeting.
Or bona fide to come to a meeting. We want you to come.
Yeah.
A lot of people are transitioning from the days of the Democrat because their mama and daddy or grandparents were. They're beginning to see what their parents and grandparents cling to is what our Republicans are today. There were conservative Democrats, and you could work across the aisle back then, but
Right.
you can't today. You try, and it always fails.
Or they're like me, who absolutely hated politics because I thought all of them were bad.
Yeah.
And I've come to find out, one, that's not true. But number two, if you think just because you're not interested in politics doesn't mean that politics isn't
not interested in you. But anyway, they're still just recently in some counties, one being Williamson, another one being over in Knox County. We've got people on this SEC, whether it be through SEC members like myself or through the political committee that we have of the SEC, they're not voting what our bylaws say.
Right.
And they can argue with me all day long, they're wrong. And I will tell you, just like I'm telling you in this mic, and I'll tell you to your face, and hopefully I will get to do that Saturday. They're wrong. They are creating a monsoon. And then I have found out other things that I'm not going to get into it till I can talk to the other sources, but I'm definitely not pleased about. And this is why the Republican Party, we don't stick together like the Democrats. Here we are, and we have different facets. It's sort of like that dipstick mentality that I shared with you.
Right.
Don't want to rehash it, but we got that special call meeting coming up Saturday, January the 27th. But also, we have got a great guest that we're lucky to have and blessed to have in our area. Was Citizens for Renewing America is bringing Steve Friend. And for folks who don't know Steve Friend, look him up. He was your FBI whistleblower.
Right.
He went from, his journey from a beat cop to an FBI whistleblower. And he was with the FBI SWAT. So he's no joke. He's no joke. He's the real McCoy.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in Fayetteville, Tennessee. That's coming up 2 days from now, Wednesday, January the 24th. Going to start at 6 p.m. Bank of Lincoln County Banquet Hall, and that's located at 307 College Street in Fayetteville, Tennessee, right off of their square, just half a block off of their square, heading east like you would be going to Winchester. But anyway, come listen to Steve Friend. He's coming here, and guess what? He's not charging a penny to come and tell people. He wants people to know their story. So I encourage anybody who is in law enforcement, sheriffs, county executives, county mayors, whatever you may call them, to please come and listen to this very powerful speaker. But also on February 1st, we're going to be blessed with Trevor Loudon, who's going to be in our area, and he's going to come and speak. He's an author. He wrote a book called White House Reds, and it starts in 1972 with the beginning of Al Gore Sr., where we started turning, and White House Reds is communism.
Right.
Who the communists are in the White House from 72 to now.
Wow. That's the year I was born, by the way, 72.
Oh, Lord. But anyway, he's going to be in our area February 1st. And then we've got another very, very, very important meeting. You better get registered. Find out more. I'm going to be a guest on Tennessee Informer tomorrow evening with Dave Vance.
Uncle Dave.
Uncle Dave. And he is very big into the 10th Amendment.
Yes.
And why nullification matters. He's bringing to the area Saturday, February the 24th, and it's going to last from 10 a.m. to 12:30. It doesn't cost you a penny to come, but you got to pre-register because they're limited on seating.
Right.
And this is a very, very constitutional attorney. Come and learn why nullification matters. Don't miss this opportunity to learn about the Constitution and why nullification is the rightful remedy in fighting against tyrannical federal government. And it's going to be located at the Dynamic Ballroom and Performing Arts Center in Mount Juliet, Tennessee, 1732 North Mount Juliet Road in Mount Juliet. Chris Ann Hall, JD, is your speaker. And listen, we have got you need to know anything about it, you can contact Lawrence or Brandon Taylor with the Lawrence County Republican Party, and we'll get you the contact information where you can pre-register and get on the list. But I will actually let you know tomorrow how many seats are still available.
You know, I think people don't really realize how important that 10th Amendment and the nullification that we've done, and we're working on getting it actually put down in law for Tennessee. Now, we have done it as back in 2021, we actually did it in order to take what the Biden administration was doing with COVID, and we did a joint resolution, did we not, Chris? And it was 2021.
I think you're correct.
Yeah, it's
I've slept since then.
Yeah, it was 2021. And I'm going to tell you something, and I was very pleased with this when I found out about it, but one of the sponsors of that resolution was Paige Wally. And actually the Senate Majority Leader,
Jack Johnson?
No, the head guy. What's his name?
Senate?
Yeah.
Oh, Randy McNally.
Randy McNally, believe it or not.
Lieutenant Governor.
Yeah, Lieutenant Governor, thank you. Randy McNally actually put it out there, and Paige was one of the sponsors of it.
Oh, and, Lord, Elizabeth.
Well, I know Randy McNally. I know, but
hold on a minute.
But I'm trying to tell you how uncontroversial this really should be.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
This is my point. And Paige took up the ball and ran with it. It shouldn't be that much difficult to get this to put on the books of Tennessee to rein in our federal government to what they should have, and that's only 18 powers that was vested to them by the 10th Amendment. If they're doing anything other than these 18 powers, it's illegal based upon our Constitution.
Right.
And I want people, please go read. I know a lot of us that are my age or older, we learn these things in civics and American history and things, but you forget about it, or it was too boring or whatever. But you need to, the Constitution is like 27 pages thick, according to what size the book is and everything else.
Right.
Okay? We're not talking a hard read. We're talking a 30 to 45-minute read. Right at the most. So if you're watching this on YouTube or Facebook, and it doesn't take you that long to read it and familiarize yourself with our Constitution. The reason we're having government running amok right now is because people do not read it. And why is it that we have bills, just about every bill that we have that the federal government passes will be 1,000 pages? Why do we have bills that are 1,000 pages and our own Constitution is 25 or 30 pages?
Every bill should be a simple bill. No,
that's correct.
What.
Should be one page.
Should be one page.
If you can't do it
to most.
If you can't do it in that, then you have too much a definition of is, like Bill Clinton would say.
Yeah.
You are taking words and you're twisting them.
What is the definition of is?
I have no idea.
It's his. but anyway, let me tell you why nullification matters.
Yes.
I don't know how many people paid attention. This came out over the weekend. It actually broke sometimes Wednesday or Thursday. How many of you drive up and down the interstate and see these billboards that says lights on when raining, or buckle up, buttercup, or something of that nature?
Right.
Something about drunk driving, booze it and lose it, so forth and so on. We go on all day long, and I was going to write down a few of the funny ones, and they get their point across. They flash up. They're a 6-second read. Boom, you got it. You move on.
Mm-hmm.
The Federal Highway Administration is coming out, and they're giving states 2 years. You can no longer use things that have something with a song lyric or buckle up, buttercup. They're mandating that states, You can't do it no more. That's where nullification matters. That's where our governors should stand up and say, look, Biden administration, go pound sand. We're going to put our signs up. You're not going to come to our state in Tennessee and tell us what we can put on our marquee.
Or like they did with COVID. That's the reason that's the reason they came with the resolution. That resolution that they came up with is because they were saying people are going to be mandated to take the vaccine. And the state of Tennessee stood up and said no. You know what was interesting about that resolution? I'm going to tell you what was really interesting about that resolution. It got support all across the board just about. But guess who left it unsigned?
Bill Lee.
Bill Lee. Do you think that man's for our Constitution?
No, sir. No, sir.
So,
and I'm going to point this out. And it's funny, we got, like I said, the fastest hour in radio.
That's right.
We got about 3 minutes and 15 seconds left for this program. But how many of y'all kept up that Warren Buffett bought out the rest of the Haslam Empire Pilot and Flying J last week?
Wow,
he's the sole owner.
That just gives the Haslams more money to spread their crap.
Well, what is Warren Buffett? Democrat.
Yes, of course.
So birds of a feather will flock together.
Absolutely.
So that should tell you enough and why we have the problems we have, and they continue to be ongoing, it seems like. And, you know, it's like the Haslams, sort of like Obama's never left the White House.
Right.
Same effect in Tennessee.
It is the same effect. And you know what? Here's the thing, people. I'm just going to tell you like it is. Like it or not.
Like it or lump it.
That's right. I'm for freedom. I'm for people having freedom. I'm also even so much for freedom, I even am willing to give yourself the freedom to be stupid. Because that's how God made us. And these man-made laws that do not come from God, really and truly, Chris, we need 10 laws of this land, and it's the 10 Commandments.
That's it. Simple. Keep it simple and sincere.
You follow the 10 Commandments, you're going to be just fine. But when we have hundreds of thousands or millions of laws on books in this country alone, probably just about every single one of us at one time or another is breaking some kind of mundane, archaic, stupid law that has made us into criminals, and we're not even aware of it. And that's the other thing that I see.
We're down to about 20 seconds. Want to give a shout out to Kip Capley. Tennessee Talks with Kip Capley. We're going to give a shout out to Strikers.
Shout out to Strikers. Thank you, Strikers. And God bless Lawrence County, God bless Tennessee, and God bless the United States. Have a good day.
Boy, do the Packers and Niners know how to play playoff games against each other.
Birdie takes it, hands off to McCaffrey off the left side. Touchdown!